What's up everyone, Lad here. Today's a bit of a different video. Today officially marks day 500 for me with this game. I wanted to go over a few things about this game. Firstly, how I feel about it so far as a small whale, then the many questions about the life of the game and where it's going, and lastly, my thoughts about the future with this game. So getting into it, this game has been a great homage to the OG OCTOPATH. Playing this game felt like a throwback to when I first picked up my copy 4 years ago. This series has always been focused on the story aspect, and COTC likewise was the same. The story pacing can be slow at times, especially for those who aren't playing the game for the story, and more so for the gameplay. It would be nice to have a skip button for cutscenes with long dialogues, those who aren't interested in the story, but then again, if you're not playing this game for the story, you're missing out. OCTOPATH originally has been a darker series, and it doesn't shy away from indecency, which is why COTC was slapped with a mature rating. So far, I have enjoyed the combat of 8 travelers rather than 4. It feels much more engaging with the combos that you want to do, and it makes you feel big-brained when something works the way you want it to. As a small whale, I do have the majority of the cast in the game, and while I do like supporting games that I enjoy, I'm not a big fan of the paid rupee currency. The idea of having 2 different in-game currency has always been something that's completely greedy. I understand it's not just COTC but other gacha games as well, but this is something that I've always disagreed with ever since it was introduced, and I'm hoping that it doesn't spread to other gacha games in the future. One of the nuances I feel about this game is emulating. COTC has been one of the worst gacha games out there for emulating. When the game first came out, I started on BlueStacks, and then it stopped working, so I moved to LD Player. BlueStacks came back and I switched over, then it stopped working, so onto Mumu Player, and now it's back to BlueStacks after the security issue was addressed. Now it might just be a BlueStacks thing, but most apps run a bit smoother on BlueStacks. I do understand that the developers did not want this game emulated, but this isn't 2010 anymore. A game that's focused on storytelling with exquisite battles, I want to sit down and enjoy it rather than playing it while sitting in the toilet like most mobile games. Another issue I have about this game is transferring your data from one device to another. Let's say you're going out of town, but you want to make sure you do your dailies. Unlike other gacha games, you've already linked your data to your phone, and all you have to do is open it up and you're good to go. COTC makes you unlink your data to whatever you want before, then you have to re-download all the assets, making it inconvenient. Sure, it's a minor issue, but I would rather play this game on a bigger screen than on a phone screen. Well, enough complaining about the game. If there is something that you feel the game is missing or quality of lives that are needed, feel free to write it down in the comment section or just let me know how you feel about the game so far. Now on to the many questions about this game. A few months into the game, and this question popped up, and I really didn't think too much about it because it was just way too early to even contemplate it. The question of, is this game dying, or this game isn't gonna make it far? And I do understand why people are asking this question. This game as a gacha does not make as much as other big gacha games, and that's because the name OCTOPATH isn't as big as other Square Enix titles. And as such, most of the people who are playing the COTC are the folks who already played OCTOPATH or know what it is. This isn't like a traditional gacha games where you'll have weekly events to grind for, whether it might be a new weapon or character upgrades. This is a game where every new story update we get, which is about 3 to 4 weeks, that introduces another set of weapon or armor to grind for, and it's not that bad. Grinding for the new weapons for the story update takes possibly a day if you're feeling adventurous. Another gacha that feels close to COTC is Another Eden, and funny enough, Another Eden is having a collaboration with OCTOPATH. Now I firstly played Another Eden when it first came out, and I enjoyed it, but I lost my data because I didn't link it to my account, and customer support wouldn't recover it back to me. That kinda bummed me out, so I quit. I'm not sure if it's still the same, but back then when I started Another Eden, it was very much like OCTOPATH where it focused mainly on the story, and when the story was on to be continued, that meant grinding for character levels. Now Another Eden was firstly released in 2017, and it's still going strong. Now let's go ahead and take a look at SensorTower.com. This website gives us an estimation of how much apps make in the last month. As you can see here, Another Eden, because of the collaboration with OCTOPATH, has a revenue of about 200k. Switching over to COTC, last month they generated about 100k. Now should we really be worried? Obviously, there's many expenses developers have to budget around. Marketing, global translations, and other costs to maintain a gacha game. Many of the assets are already made as COTC JP is ahead of us, so it's just all about transferring over and getting translated. Of course, it's not that easy, as I'm sure it involves more work than that. Now this game is 2D, and so is Another Eden. The cost of making anything 2D is much more cost effective than a 3D model, which leads me to a game that was shut down because of its low player base and seemingly expensive graphics. Final Fantasy Mobius. For those who don't know it, this is a 3D game where you're playing as the Warrior Light with all the elements of gacha included. Those who loved it absolutely enjoyed it. The gameplay for me felt confusing and I dropped in day 1. It was a beautiful game for being a mobile app, and there were collaborations with almost all the main characters from the Final Fantasy universe. No one knows exactly why the server shut down, other than the game not making enough money. Perhaps keeping the game up, creating new character models, was too expensive to make. Now back to COTC. The game clearly states in the beginning that it's a single player and to take your time playing the game. I don't believe COTC will be going down anytime soon. The Southeast Asia countries have just released COTC on their side. When the story for COTC comes to a complete stop and end, that's when the game will end. Currently, us global players are still in the world of Orstera, or where Octopath Traveler 1 takes place, and in the Bestower chapters. JP is currently in Celestia, or Octopath Traveler 2, and the story is still going strong. We're definitely catching up to JP as the global side is moving much faster, but it's still going to be a hot second until we catch up as well. So for now, to those who are still doubting the life of the game, obviously none of us know what's going to happen in the future. The best way to play the game is to enjoy it and worry about how you're going to beat the next boss rather than anything else. Think of this game as a car. All those times that it took you around were times you appreciated. But eventually, everything comes to an end, and when it does, at least you'll have memories of enjoying it. Let's go ahead and wrap things up. I don't want to get too deep. This game has given me a lot of joy. After finishing Octopath Traveler 1, I still wanted to keep on playing, so I'm grateful that COTC was released. For the future of the game, it's hard to say because it only moves forward when the story continues. And because of that, those who have already completed all the content up to date will probably just be doing the dailies. For myself, it has been just that, waiting for the next story update to come through. Sadly, I feel like that's the main reason why there aren't too many YouTubers covering this game. When I first started the game, I noticed the lack of YouTubers. I would rather much be enjoying the game than making content for it, as I don't have a YouTuber voice and fake energy that many do. I try to keep everything honest, as that's just how I am. Anyways, today marks day 500 for me. Hopefully I'll see you all again on day 1000. Like always, take care of yourself. That out.